Well, Trevon Diggs had a rough day on the field. Cowboys tried their best, but there's no deal. San Francisco came, took that game away, left us all to talk about our pain today. So talk about these nuts, yeah, they got crushed by the red and gold, left us in a hush. Them Cowboys put up a fight, but in the end, it's 49ers win, we're trying to comprehend. So talk about these nuts, yeah, they got crushed by the red and gold, left us in a hush.
All right, we're back on the One Star Cowboys podcast. I'm Kevin Turner with John Machota, Saad Youssef, and Kent Garrison. Obviously, you can check out our immediate reaction podcast from Sunday night after the Cowboys 30-24 loss to the 49ers. There's so much to clean up. It was hard to squeeze it all into that 30 minutes. So let's kind of go back. Is there anything that maybe we didn't get to the other night? Well, you know what? I'll just say I'll set it up. There is. I would like to talk about the decision to take the ball, which, not unheard of. But then the 3rd and 5 handoff to Hunter Lipke on the very first drive, I just didn't feel like that set a good tone for a game when you already take the ball and we know you're trying to get a lead and score fast. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? We'll start with you, John.
Yeah, that's their razzle-dazzle. That's their exciting play. That was the one that no one would expect. So they were going to catch you off guard with that. And that, I think that's their version with where this offense is at of a trick play. Were you not impressed by that? Were you not tricked by that? That didn't work for you? I mean, it obviously the plan there would seem that even if you don't get a first down, you're probably going to get at least 3 or 4 yards. Then you go for it on 4th down. I don't think that they thought it was going to be completely stopped by the Niners the way it was. But yeah, it's a head scratcher. It really is. You thought they'd come out like super aggressive and try and maybe set the tone with some big plays. But yeah, that's a tough one right there.
I'm imagining, Saad, that you and John looked at each other in the press box like that. That happens. Like what?
Oh, I watched I watched the first couple of series down in the stands, and Dak handed the ball off and was running towards me as he handed it off. And so I could see his face as he was looking at Jake Ferguson. It was almost like I'm going to look at Jake. I'm not going to look back, but judging by this crowd, I don't think we picked up that first down. So, yeah. So we were not sitting next to each other during that portion. That was the portion where I go, all right, I can go back up to the press box. This is probably going to go exactly like the last 2 or 3 games here have gone.
Yeah, that was just for me. It was exactly what John said. I thought if you're running it with Hunter Lipke on 3rd and 5, to be honest, whether you pick up a yard or not, I just feel like you're going for it on 4th down, especially at that side of the field and knowing kind of what your defense is like. You receive the ball, all that aggression, everything. I just feel that was really weird to see that play and then punt. To be honest, okay, it wasn't this bad, but I'm just telling you how ridiculous it was. It made me think of that like New York Giants quarterback sneak on like 4th down from like the 2-yard line a few years ago. And I was just like, you just like look at that and you're just like, what were you thinking? Like again, not that bad, but it was just like, I don't understand that play call at all.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's on the same part of the field, but it was within 20 or 30 yards of the Zeke playing center in that stadium. So, yeah. I mean, and it's a pretty memorable field. We've seen some really interesting things happen there.
I guess I'll say, like, as fans should... Well, you can't go ahead and weigh in on it first, and then I'll jump in.
Yeah, just on the running game, I don't think we hammered it hard enough in our instant reaction pod. I mean, we had all this speculation for 2 weeks during the bye week. What are they going to do? Diana Rossini comes out with a report. The Cowboys have been working just so hard the past 2 weeks on the running game. They've gotten back into the fundamentals. They've gone back into the film room. They're thinking about personnel. They're thinking about the line. They think if they can just get this running game going, that can carry them. They rushed for 56 yards on Sunday against the 49ers. 56 total yards. Brock Purdy ran for more yards than this team. What about that tells you that they have either what they need from a personnel standpoint or from a coaching standpoint?
Yeah, it looks bad for the coaching for me because you're coming off of a bye week, and all you've heard after that game now is about communication and things about how, like, there's just not, the communication on the offensive line isn't where it needs to be. There's a relaying of messages that goes on from center to guard out to the tackle, who then, has to relay the message to the tight end, and so on. And so that's been an issue. You just had your bye week. You're also professional athletes. Like, at what point is it going to click? I mean, that's not something that should be an issue this late in the season. That should be something that maybe you have some issues with. Maybe the first game in Cleveland, you're on the road. Hey, there was some communication stuff. Got a rookie center. Like, you've had all this time since then, and that's why when they say, like, the little things are the issue and just the small things here and there, I really believe them. I really do. I do believe that that's what it is, because there's no way that it's just a physical thing. That's why they're so bad, particularly at running the football. You can talk about the entire team, but specifically running the football, there's no reason that you should be that bad just from a physical standpoint.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't believe them when they say it's the little things. For me, it is the big things, and it's not like communication and stuff. It's more about personnel. Like, it comes back to me about personnel, and going back, whether I'm talking about the Patriots teams I watched growing up or even the Cowboys teams I've covered, very rarely do you see, like, oh, we're just going to work on this during the bye week and work on this in the middle of the season, and it's just going to fix. Like, these are training camp issues. These are not, like, in season. I'm talking, like, that Cowboys 2018 season. If Amari Cooper is not traded for, it goes down the drain. That's what's going to change things at this point. A little extra time during the bye week. Like during the 2013 Patriots season, I don't really expect anybody to remember this, but their receivers were like Aaron Dobson and Kimbrel Tompkins, and like they signed Austin Collie off the street. And it's like, yeah, nothing changed that season, because it doesn't matter that you have the greatest quarterback of all time. That's not a thing where, oh, like, Austin Collie just needs to get on paid with Tom Brady. Like, no, you don't have the guys to make it happen. And so for me, it's like, whether it's communication, the crazy thing is Dak, in his availability before that 49ers game, was talking about how, the communication was so good in practice because they were, like, not only communicating efficiently, but it was louder. Like, he was hearing everything and all that stuff. And then, as Brian Schottenheimer said yesterday, in the coordinator availability, like, it was a good crowd. It was a good atmosphere. Nothing said it was like Arrowhead or 12th man in Seattle or, some crazy thing like that. So for me, like, I think it's, these bigger issues that they keep trying to, like, sell it publicly, but I don't think it's a communication thing here or there.
Okay, so I agree with you on part of what you said. If we're talking about the totality of why the season has gone where it's gone, I completely agree with you. On the offensive line, though, I do believe it is little things, because I do not look at that offensive line. I mean, believe me, I will tell you right now, I've seen some really bad Cowboys offensive lines in terms of talent-wise, and I do not look at this team where I'm just like, oh, this is some of the worst 5 offensive linemen they've had. I don't know how they get. And again, I'm not asking them to lead the league in rushing. I'm not asking them to be top 10. I'm not even asking them to be top 16. I'm talking about how bad that they've been. There's no way that you can put it to just like, yeah, they just don't got the guys in the offensive line. They have the guys in the offensive line to at least, I don't know, have a 100-yard rushing game. Like, there's no way that it's just because of the talent there. There's a major disconnect that's going on in that offensive line on top of it too. I don't think it's just a physical, like, well, Tyler Guyton's not good, and BB's playing center, and he's probably not really a center. So this is Martin's probably last year, so he'll leave, and then we're going to move BB over to right guard, and we're just going to have to find another center. Like, I do not think that offensive. I think with the right coach, like your boy Dante Scarnecchia, there's no way that the offensive line looks that bad. There's just no way. There's no way I would believe it. They're not that bad. This is not rolling out Kevin Kowalski, Phil Costa, stuff like that. They are not on that level.
Have you ever thought about what the Cowboys line would look like if they had, I don't know, kept most of the guys that they have let go of, gotten rid of, given up on over the years? A lot of these guys are thriving in the NFL. I don't want to say, we like to say that the Cowboys make all the right decisions personnel-wise, but And I'm looking at like, man, if we had, Jake Brendel, maybe Connor Williams works out at guard, have Tyron Smith, that might be better than what we have. I have some questions on how they've kind of played the offensive line, especially seeing Terrence Steele against Nick Bosa the other night.
Yeah, I used to look at a few things because I think like all things Cowboys, it's never like one thing. It's just 10 things you piece together to figure out like what the overarching problem is. And it's a bunch of things here. I used to think in my head that there was some delineation between the running game struggling when Kellen Moore left. And that's really not true. They were 17th in the league in 2022 and 2023 in yards per carry. I think a part of what you might have here, though, like they're going to say, Jerry's going to keep saying that he likes our players. And they're going to have to keep saying that because they know no one's coming around the mountain to help this thing. This is what they got. This is who they're rolling out. And I just, do they run the ball better if Rico gets to play Sunday night? Those are questions we can ask ourselves till we're blue in the face, but we'll never know. From a bigger picture, and I swear to God, I'm not being salacious, national TV hot take guy, because I don't like those types of programs anyways. The reset on all of this comes after the year when everyone who's a lame duck is sent packing. And honestly, you made your moves. Dak and CD are here. And then everything else that's going to come with that on the offensive line and the running backs and all that, it's all going to have to start together with a new offensive scheme and new coaches. The entire slate will have to be wiped clean.
And when you don't make any moves right now and you don't do anything before the trade deadline, you're pretty much telling everyone that you're fine with that. Exactly what you said, that's what our plan is now. That will be the big move. That'll be make the big change because we're not going to do anything major personnel wise because we've already set ourselves up to where we paid Dak, we paid CD, and we're going to pay Micah. And so you're not going to see any major changes on the roster. We're not going to be super aggressive in free agency or in the trade market or anything. So this is what we got. So the thing we'll sell to you is that there's going to be a new coaching staff, and that's how everything's going to get fixed.
Another thing that is lingering a little bit from Sunday, just how brutal the Kevontae Turpin drop was and how big that would have been for this team and how beautiful of a ball that was from Dak Prescott. You got to come down with that in that moment. And I think that's just a bigger picture issue of why are we throwing it up to Kevontae Turpin in crunch time?
Yeah,
he's the only guy getting separation, and that's why Dak went to him in that moment. But you got to have a better jump ball option than a guy who's 5'7".
And to do it multiple times in that game to
Yes.
go to him. I mean, I get it. I shouldn't say I get it because I've never seen it, but maybe it has worked in practice. But yeah, when they threw both of those, especially that one in the big moment there, late there in the final few minutes, it really made me think of the Patrick Ewing clip that's out there from when he coached at Georgetown, where he like is in a timeout and he's like looking at a guy and he's like, "When do you take that shot? Why are you? When have you ever taken that shot in practice? Why are you doing that right now in the game? Like you don't work on that shot. You don't practice. So maybe it has worked in games because there have been little nuggets here and there that Dak has given over the last few weeks about Turpin and having a chance for some big playability and things like that. But I'm just like, if you're going to do that, on the opposite side is Jalen Tolbert, and he is a bigger body, and he has shown you that he can make contested catches. I don't understand. I don't get that at all. I really don't. And really, when you look at the totality, those plays really were huge in deciding that game. Because if that's completed at Turpin, who knows what happens after that? Maybe they just go throw 3 incompletions after that, and the game's over anyway. But that gives you some life there. And to be honest, watching that play over again, I think even if he catches it, I don't think he gets both feet in bounds. So it's like it's really not even as close as it might have even looked. But in that situation, yeah, I don't get that one, and I really didn't get him throwing the deep ball too. Because here's the other thing, like Dak talked about, he got hit, and so that's why the first one was underthrown and got picked off. But they're talking about how it needs to be out in front and to the front pylon and that, and I'm just like, I don't know that I've really ever seen Dak make a throw like that where he just leads the receiver on a deep ball like that. I mean, that's just not really his game.
Yeah, and I was telling John this in the press box too. Like I'm always a little hesitant on like sitting up there and doing that, but on that play to Turpin late, like Holbert's 1-on-1, you've seen him make contested catches all year, it's interesting that like, that's not where you kind of go with the ball. The other thing is, I think we talked
Oh,
about
hey, and
this,
real quick, and Tolbert also has their biggest catch of the year in Pittsburgh. But yeah, go on.
right?
Yeah.
And not just one. I mean, he had that one against Detroit too. He had a big one. He had one. He had a big deep ball against.
Right, I'm just saying, but their biggest, by far, is his catch in Pittsburgh.
And then like the Saints and the Ravens game, it was one of those games where he like had like a helmet catch type of thing or whatever. So like he's had those catches. The thing is, I think we saw this with, again, I get the Saints and Ravens game mixed up, but I think it was a Saints game where Jalen Brooks slipped and Dak threw that interception on the play. And we talked about it after that. Dak sometimes is just like Tom Brady said on the broadcast, he would not go back to Jalen Brooks. But Dak did. That's just what Dak is and who Dak is, that he just goes through that stuff. And I feel like, he probably like had some sort of that going on that play too, where it's just like, well, like, I should go here, so I'm just going to go here. And, instead of just going like, well, no, I got this guy one-on-one. This guy makes tough catches. I'm just going to go here and going to make this happen no matter what. So there might be some of that, but that was a tough one for sure.
I mean, that whole sequence right there at the end, here it is. Throw out whatever's happened in this game. It's 30-24, and you have 3 minutes, and we're coming off a bye week, and that's all we're able to do.
Dude, it should have been an interception on the first play by like
first
three
play.
people, by three different people.
The 49ers, there's a couple of charts too have been posted too. That's those that look like what was the old football game? Was it? I'm definitely too young for this. The 80s, like the game where you just put the things on and they vibrate.
Electronic football.
Yeah, electronic football. But especially one of those graphs that kind of shows you the guys moving. You guys have seen these, and you just see the line of 49ers defenders is like the safety. Okay, there's the linebacker, the corner's following, and there's just 4 guys all in a line because 2 guys ran straight and then CD's cutting across on a dig. It's also right there too with 3 minutes. You definitely need to have a little bit of urgency. You don't have to throw a 15-yard route. Like everything could have been short. You have so many questions about the offense. We all do. I thought Kurt Warner has had probably the I guess the most widespread take. Maybe I don't know if you guys have seen his tweet, and I'll just read it for you. Man, this Cowboys tape is a tough watch again. Play design, details, execution, because can't be sure which it is. Dak not playing well, etc. It would be so frustrating watching that as an offense. It's like, yeah, I believe what Kurt Warner has to say about offenses.
And that's why we already know from watching the Cowboys for as long as we have, whenever they go in a bad direction somewhere, they follow it up by maybe even overcorrecting that. And that's why you just have this sense that the next coach is going to be, even if it's not the head coach, the offensive coordinator, it's going to go, it went from Kellen Moore being the young to we're going to go more traditional. They're going back to whether it's someone from the Shanahan tree or a Ben Johnson or something like that. You just can tell that that's where this thing's headed, because that's certainly something that Jerry Jones has heard the criticism of for these last few years since Mike took over the play calling, is that, that it isn't one of these offenses that, has a lot of the eye candy, a lot of the fun things that stand out in today's NFL, that it is more of a, traditional offense. And I do believe that there can be success if you probably have to have a really good number 2 wide receiver. You probably have to have somewhat of a running game. But the problem is when you don't have any of that, it looks real old and real stagnant.
Yeah, I mean, Kurt Warner in the comments to that, because it's funny sometimes to look at him. I mean, he replied to someone saying that the Cowboys offense reminded him of the New York Jets right now. And there's not a bigger joke in football right now than the New York Jets. So, ouch. And I was disappointed that after a bye week, I did trick myself, or at least talk myself into little extra week of prep, and I used that 10-day example of the Giants into the Steelers game. I'm just thinking there would be a little more there. And instead, we get more garbage time stats. Maybe not full garbage time stats, but we get the defense is backed off, so we can take advantage of that and get those stats.
The Niners game is no different than the Steelers game. If they go down and score with 3 minutes to go, you're given 3 minutes. That's a lot of time in the NFL. 3 minutes, and you have nothing but all of the momentum on your side. You've scored on your previous 2 drives. Your defense just came up with their biggest stop. If they go down there and score, it's the Steelers game, and you look at it the same way as you're like, yeah, that's a pretty big win on the road, Sunday Night Football. Outdoors.
Yeah.
They're an indoor team, but they would be going outdoors, winning both of these games against quality teams. We're not saying that these are the favorites to win the Super Bowl or anything, but like Pittsburgh's a pretty good team, San Francisco's a good team. Like that would have been the same exact. But with 3 minutes to go, they didn't complete one pass. Also,
Yeah,
by the
and-
way,
and-
and that with 3 minutes to go, you haven't done it really all game. Run a design run with Dak. They never would have seen it coming. Like, just do something. Like, something out of the ordinary other than he's just going to drop back and throw 4 passes.
Yeah, and to your point, how much it would be like the Pittsburgh game. I mean, Dak had I remember John and I, we started talking like what we were going to write about in the fourth quarter and stuff, and it was going to be a pretty bad Dak story there in Pittsburgh if they don't win with those 2 red zone turnovers, the fumble, and then the interception, and then he had another interception. Like, Dak was not going to come out looking good in that Pittsburgh game if they don't win. Same thing in San Francisco, except this time they actually didn't win.
I mean, I was going there anyway. I was going to take a look at the third quarter and just see like what happened, because in my mind the defense played well for 3 quarters. But this is the topic. This is the big topic. Dak doesn't run anymore. He did that day, that Pittsburgh day. He ran that one time. He doesn't run anymore, and I don't know if it's because he doesn't want to, if he doesn't feel like he needs to, but they just don't have enough. A, I think raw talent. B, tricks up their sleeve offensively from a scheme standpoint for him to be a statue. And that is what he is now. And I don't think that the day he signed the contract, I don't think I thought that. And it's so easy. I'm not going to be the go, you shouldn't have. I've big time think, yes, you should have paid Dak.
Hold up. Well, no. We're not going any further. We're going to talk about this right now.
Yeah, okay.
Anybody that doesn't want to pay Dak, I mean, they're showing you their cards. You absolutely should have paid Dak, because what do you think this team's doing if they don't give Dak $60 million? Do you think they're just spreading the wealth out everywhere else? Do you think that they're using that money?
No.
If you're talking about a different organization, I will listen to that argument. With this organization, trust me, the best thing they possibly could do was sign Dak, because they were not going to spread that wealth out to where you're just like, yeah, you know what? Just okay quarterback play, but we used that money and we got this outstanding linebacker, and we got another pass rusher, and we got a big time a receiver to play opposite of CD. You really think that would have happened? Have they shown you anything to make you confident that would have happened? So there's that. The other thing about him not running, it has to be a combination, because he's not running. Even when he's moving in the pocket, it's not as well as he has earlier in his career. You can tell that he's not as mobile as he was, and he really hasn't been since that ankle injury. But that's a big factor in it too, is that he's not picking up the yards that he would have when he was running 3-4 times a game, now that he's running basically once per game. So I think it is a combination of both. The not wanting him to get hurt, he's your $60 million quarterback, but also he's not as effective as a runner as he used to be. So we're not even going to try and make that stuff happen. I'm saying just on that last drive, they're not thinking that he's going to be running. Have one play there where he drops back, but it's a designed run the whole entire way. I'm not sitting here saying he's about to run for 15 yards or something. Maybe you get 6 or 7, and maybe you set yourself up with something a little decent. You got more in your bag. Now it's 2nd and 4 or something like that, or 3rd and 2, whatever it would be to set up that play. But to not even do that, just to be like, yeah, we're just going to drop him back, and that's what's going to happen. I don't know. Like, I just need to see a little bit more variety, I feel like.
Yeah, and when you're talking about, how bad his running game is, it's it's not about if you're asking him to, incorporate that in his regular game. Joe Flacco has more rushing yards than him this season. Joe Flacco, that's insane. Joe Flacco hasn't even played every game, and he's 10 years older. There's no excuse for that sort of thing to happen where you're like, oh, okay, so does Marcus Mariota, but and he doesn't play all the time, but sure, Marcus Mariota is he comes in and does that, whatever. Joe Flacco should never have more rushing yards than Dak Prescott, no matter what. So that is, now I will say, Dak, the last couple years ago, I think, or maybe it was last year. Yeah, no, it was last year after the 49ers game. He actually led the Cowboys in rushing the week after that against the Chargers with 40 yards rushing. So, who knows? Who knows if things change after? But like, yeah, it shouldn't be this low.
And then another factor too is like there were times where, because let's not act like this is a new topic. We've said throughout, because you get the guy from Mississippi State that he had some huge runs obviously at Mississippi State, and so early in his career there would be times where he didn't run that much, and we would be wondering the same thing. Not saying that like he should be running 10 times a game, but why isn't he running 5 or 6? He's only run 1 or 2 these last couple of games. So this has always been kind of up and down a topic throughout his time as the Cowboys quarterback. My thing is though too is like there were even times where he was probably a little bit more mobile, but if you have Amari Cooper on one side and CeeDee Lamb on the other, it's kind of like, well, just buy time, because you do have these 2 big time play. You don't have that right now. I mean, Jake Ferguson's been okay, but I don't think Jake Ferguson has taken that jump that a lot of us thought, where he would be clear the number 2 option and put up number 2, almost number 2 receiver numbers that would make him one of the top 4 or 5 tight ends in the league. We have not seen that this year, and that's probably a combination of everything mixed in with just how stagnant the offense has been. But yeah, the whole like, well, we can't run because we're trying to get these playmakers involved. Like, you haven't had a lot of playmaking going on down the field.
No, for sure. And Ferguson's not Kittle. We saw what Kittle was like, but this is where I go to that. And this is where things kind of run together for me. I don't know if it was last year or this offseason training camp where he was talking about, running a little bit more. Maybe he said that every year.
Yeah, but when he words it that way, a lot of times I think he also kind of means just like moving out of the pocket to extend the play, getting outside to get more time. Because let's be honest, I don't care how good your defensive backfield is. If you have no pass rush or the quarterback's leaking out to buy time, it's just a matter of time before one of your DBs are about to get burned. Like, there just isn't. These receivers are too good in the NFL for you to just be able to hold coverage for 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Like, it's just not going to happen.
This is concerning though, because this is also something that doesn't get better over time, right? This is not. He's not just going to all of a sudden have that weapon anymore. The fact that he hasn't used it tells me one of 2 things, because there have absolutely been plays where he's in the shotgun and he's reading a defensive end, and like most of our run plays, it goes for 1 yard. Like, that has been there, and that has always been a part of the offense, and it's just not being used. Look, that was the worst moment in his professional life, probably, that week 5 in 2020. Like, I might not want to run either if I'd gotten paid, but he's been paid a couple times since then. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that he just doesn't want to run. But like, I think it's part of that is like your coach or coaches identifying, hey, this could help us. John, you said a 6-yard thing to set up a 2nd and 4 is very helpful. For this team, a 6-yard run is a 40-yard run.
Yeah.
Like,
by the way, I just said 15, when I said 10, 15 seconds, can you imagine if a play went on for 15 seconds?
That would be nuts.
Can you just imagine how wild that would be? Sorry.
I think there was that play, the Donovan McNabb one on Monday Night Football against the Cowboys. Remember that back in like 2003 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was like 13 seconds, if I'm not mistaken.
How long did Jaden Daniels run around for before he
that was like 5 seconds probably, right?
It goes by fast.
Because I saw some people were putting the timer on Stevenson, the defensive back for the Bears.
Oh, yeah.
And like how much time he had to run across the field.
Right.
Poor guy apologized
I agree, though.
for it. He didn't.
You got to rush the quarterback on a Hail Mary. I understand putting guys back there to defend the pass, but the only way those plays work is if the quarterback has time to make a play. So you got to get the guy on
also,
the ground.
there should never be a player behind you if the end zone is there.
Yeah.
Like there should never be a offensive player there where the defender's not there.
You should never have your head coach, who's a defensive specialist, giving up Hail Marys like that. Like, he should have had a plan. If you watch that closely, Stevenson, after taunting the fans, whatever, to me, that's not even the egregious thing. Like, it is, but he then runs over towards the pile. But then when Jaden Daniels escapes again, he goes back to kind of his side of the end zone. Like, he was over there for a reason, because that was his zone.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we don't have to have a zone here on Hail Marys. They're just going to have a big pile in the middle. So I just thought, I don't know. That was, That's a Eberflus thing. Like, how is your coach helping you? You know,
Also,
how
the
is your
good thing-
coach helping you?
Yeah, good thing he had 3 timeouts there in the post game press conference. Just to make sure. Like, sure, it wouldn't have helped to use a timeout and actually get everything situated and planned out, but going to the post game press conference with 3 timeouts.
Some guys, they've had a good year. I don't have to take
Told the
shots. I
Chicago
actually like
media.
Eberflus. Like I always liked him. Okay, the Dak thing, real quick.
He got sidetracked.
So you signed the deal. Deal's done. I agree with it. Too easy to say. If the people who are allowed, so you should have done it. You either always felt that or you changed your mind because of how things are going. But does he make more money when he signed the deal or when he hits the open market?
When he hits the open market. When other teams can start bidding on him, he gets more than that.
The bidding
I have a
war.
lot of-
Yep.
My group texts are blowing up with people. Why didn't they let Dak play this year out? Why did they sign Dak? Why are we stuck with Dak now? Why didn't we let this year decide? It's because of the guy on the other side of the field named Brock Purdy, who's about to get a massive contract and is about to set the standard. And by most accounts, and this is probably debated within Cowboys Nation, but most accounts, QB tiers, Dak is a better quarterback by most accounts than Brock Purdy. So Dak
you don't-
probably get more money.
Oh, you don't think Brock Purdy in Dallas right now would be pulling this thing out of the mud?
No.
Not in this system. Hell no. It'd be way worse.
I was being sarcastic.
Oh yeah.
But also real quick, like, I heard this on a different podcast. But if Dak doesn't have a contract coming into the season and he's having this season, it's a lot of just, revisionist history of like, well, it's a distraction. If you had signed him, it wouldn't be this bad and this and that. And now that he is signed, there's a lot of, just thinking, well, now you're stuck with him. And no matter, like, if it was going to be bad, whether he was signed or not, there would be some narrative that would be that would be carried around it.
And there'd be multiple teams that go, you don't think that there's other teams in the league that go, man, if I had Dak, I wouldn't be running him in that offense. There's no way that.
Yeah.
And then the circus of the Dallas Cowboys, it kind of goes to the Anthony Richardson stuff that, not to get too far off topic here, but, it's not like there weren't some issues coming out of Florida, but coaches will always believe, especially at the highest level, no, I got that. I'll fix that. I got that guy. I can do that. And now sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I just find it hard to believe that all the rest of the teams in the league are just like, yeah, Dak's just a game manager. We're not going to bid very much money on that. We're good. We're just going to go to the draft, and hopefully we get somebody late in the first round or somewhere in the second round. We'll be fine. We'll go the draft route. We're not gonna spend money on him. I find it hard to believe. I still think there'd be at least 3 to 5 teams that would be bidding on him.
I actually think more as the season's played out.
Yeah,
I think it would
probably,
be more, and that's enough to take that price over what it would be now.
Right.
I just.
Because honestly, let's say it's 4, there could be 3 teams that are all like, yeah, we really want him, whatever. And all it takes is that one team to be like, we can't even let it come down to that. We'll pay you $5 million more than whatever even the next offer is, It
just doesn't feel like there's anything about this offense that feels even slightly urgent, fun, has a emphasis on, let's get the ball out so our guy doesn't get hit because he can't move or doesn't get away from pressure too much.
What is fun about the team in general, KT? Is there anything fun about it other than the jury duty kicker? I mean, there's really not a lot of fun going on right now.
Not right now.
There isn't, but like, man, like the thing that I keep struggling with, what your point there, KT, is, and I don't disagree with you at all, but like the struggle that I have is like, this was the league's top offense last year. And
I know.
I'm not saying that like there haven't been changes in personnel, obviously. Like, are you telling me you're going from Tyler Biotish to Cooper Beebe? Is that big of a drop-off? I don't think so. Tyron Smith hasn't looked all that in New York. Now, he was really good last year, but I don't think this is one left tackle where you go from that offense to this. Everything else is pretty much the same.
Yeah,
like
it ain't Gallup.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with Gallup. And Cooks wasn't all
Cooks has been out.
Yeah, Cooks has been out, but like he was struggling last year a lot anyways. I mean, the threshold...
Struggling. Sorry.
the threshold was like 20 yards. The John Machota stat, 20 yards is what you needed from Brandon Cooks for to win the game. Like, it wasn't like, oh, Cooks was just getting 80 yards a game. Like, Colbert has been decent. Like, he's been good enough to be what Cooks was last year. And the running back, yeah, Tony Pollard, but again, Tony Pollard last year wasn't lighting it up. It wasn't like Derek. Like, there's just not enough of change for me to look at this drop off and just understand where it's coming from. Because even philosophically speaking, when the struggles were happening last year before the bye week, we all said, new system, give it some time, like whatever. This is second year in the system. You should be better, if anything. Like, it's just so maddening that, like,
it just shows you the value.
Offense,
it shows you the value of Tony Pollard. It's all Tony.
I mean, they have gone. This might be a spare stat to some, but as I said, 17th in the league in yards per carry to 32nd. But the difference in that is 4 yards a carry to 3.4 yards a carry. Like, it's not that big of a difference. We're talking about a little over half a yard. So it ain't that. It's a lack of evolving. It's people going, well, I know what you're going to do. Everything's static or straight line. There's not a lot of picks and rubs and bumps, and there's not a lot of that. It's too easy to know.
And KT, I shared this stat with John in the car after the game, but tomorrow meaning October 30th, is the 2-year anniversary of the last time the Cowboys had a 100-yard rusher in a win. Okay, and since then, they've only had a 100-yard rusher twice anyways. One was the loss to the Packers in 2022. One was the loss to the Cardinals last year. That's the only 2 times in the last 2 years they've had a 100-yard rusher. And against the Bears on October 30th, 2022, when Pollard ran for like 130, is the last time they had a 100-yard rusher in a win. It's not a running league, but you shouldn't be going on 30-game droughts like that.
But Saad, are they getting the attempts?
Guys, Rico was sick. They have Rico.
Yeah, that would have changed everything.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't even know. It could have been a whole new ball game.
I didn't even.
Did you notice how when Zeke had the 11-yard run though, like he got up like it was the shovel pass from or the screen pass from Philly? He's like,
it felt like a 30-yard run. Seriously, it did. It did.
On the first down symbol, got maybe thought about doing a little feed me there.
Multiply it by 5.
I wish he would have done the feed me thing right there. That would have been great.
If they get a carry, multiply it by 4 or 5. For if they get a yard, because that's what it feels like. It's so bad. It's so bad. And they got so damn lucky. I'm sorry if I mentioned this the other night, but they had a 2nd and 15 and a 2nd and 14 on that scoring drive that they overcame. I think one of them was the Turpin, and then one of those was Jake Ferguson on a little screen, and he bulldozed ahead for a first down. I was like, I couldn't believe it. On 2nd and 15 and 2nd and 14, they called a handoff. That is a give up. And this is the staff he wanted. Like McCarthy, it's everyone. The offensive line coach. All of these people are got to be held accountable, and they will be. And it'll be in the form of, hey guys, we're not even firing you. We're just letting you go. And to me, that's almost even more insulting. But that's what's going to happen, and that's the only way to reset this thing. And you can't do it in week 8. And maybe you should do something insane and just hire someone off the streets. That's stupid.
Dante Scarnecchia. He's not doing anything, is he?
Let's see if Jeff Saturday can get in here and fix things.
We've mentioned names before that are, the Belichicks, the Sabins, the Jerry type guys that are going to be the old school football. Yeah, Vrabel. What's a wild pick for you guys?
Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson would be
Johnson.
Yeah, and I think it would be wild because it would be unlike Jerry to go with someone that doesn't have head coaching experience. But maybe it's one of those things where Jerry would look at it as, yeah, but it would be such a change on the offense. If you see what he's doing in Detroit, he obviously emphasizes the run game. They invested a high first-round pick in a running back. Not saying that the Cowboys would do that, but he's put in huge emphasis on that. and I could see Jerry being attracted to that. But that's one that it still would surprise me if it happened, just because as long as Jerry is running the thing, I just feel like he's, for the rest of his time, he's going to defer to the guy that's had previous head coaching experience in the NFL.
Yeah,
What?
and for me, if you're asking for a wild pick a little out of the box, again, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if you see what's happening in Washington right now with Cliff Kingsbury, you talk about a guy that has previous head coaching experience for whatever that's worth, and then if things go a certain way in Washington, and if he's looking for another job, I don't know. You hire a defensive coordinator, and
I have heard Cliff say in the offseason that he doesn't want to be a head coach again anytime soon. I mean,
I want to see him get off for the Cowboys. I want to see him get off for the
haven't
Cowboys
called
job
him
and
yet.
see it turn it down. Can we go live stream that, please? I just
Right,
want to watch.
exactly.
Let me just see how this goes down. Go back to that lair house that he was in Arizona during the
Yeah, we'll
draft.
get him
Let's
a
just run a
nice-
live feed it out. I just want to hear it. Put it on speaker. I want to hear you turn it down.
Yeah.
The
With
wild
a nice
card, though,
Westlake setup next to Patrick Mahomes, I think it'd be hard to turn down.
right? The one,
here's a
the one
wild
though, I
one
will
for
say,
you.
Kent. The one
Go
I
ahead.
will say though, no head coaching experience at all, or no NFL coaching experience, because it's Jerry Jones. You can never 100% close the door on Jason Witten.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, we put that out there in the first couple months of doing podcasts together.
Right,
You know,
right.
Before they hired McCarthy, he was in the discussion.
Yeah.
And let me just say, he is killing it in the high school football coaching game. So at
Our
whatever
gal, Liberty
level he's
Christian.
at, he's doing
Isn't that
very
right?
well. Liberty Christian,
yes, the school, by the way, that Kevin James coached in the hit movie Home Team.
You just made it
Wow.
all full circle in my brain because I was about to throw out crazy ideas like trading for Sean Payton or Sean McVay.
Listen, okay, this is where I was going. When we think about these Shanahan guys, none of them are available, right? McVay's
No.
not available. Shanahan's not available.
Zach
LaFleur's
Taylor
not
might be.
available. D'Amico Ryan's not available. What about Mike McDaniel? What would you trade for Mike McDaniel? I know they just signed him to a massive extension. They're probably regretting it right now.
Hold on. There's two different streets here.
He's got head coaching experience.
Am I trying to win a Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys, or are we talking about just for me, myself, for media purposes?
Yeah, I'm talking about this is a Jerry move, in my opinion. This to me, I don't know if they'd give up picks. They'd have to give up something. Obviously, he's under contract.
If they're trying to
But-
win football games and win a Super Bowl, he's not going. He's not giving up any picks to get Mike McDaniel. If he's giving up any picks, it would be to get Sean McVay.
Yeah, and also, Ken, I will say there is one McVay guy that is
But
available.
I don't think the
Or-
Rams
or,
will
sorry.
want to let McVay go. And I think
No,
the
no, I'm
Dolphins
sorry.
might.
I'm sorry. There's one Shanahan guy that is available. Again, no head coaching experience, and that's Bobby Slowick. So
Yeah.
if you're going in that direction with Houston, that would be the one, I guess, Shanahan guy that is out there that can be had.
Robert Saleh.
I guess the thing for me with the Ben Johnson thing would be, and it could be the same thing with Slowick, is their stock is very high right now, obviously. But if either of those teams, the Texans or the Lions, are in the Super Bowl, what do you think their stock's going to be at that point? You know, we see it all the time. You know, I mean, look at the Eagles, how quick they lost both of their coordinators right after they went to the Super Bowl. So just those are two names that you have to keep in mind because they're hot coaching candidates right now. But if one of those teams has like the ultimate success, I mean, that name is going to be number one on everybody's list that needs a coach. What about the Eagles let go of Sirianni? Anybody interested in that?
That would not be great.
That would not be awesome, but man, short-term guy.
Just yelling at fans.
You don't give him the 5-year deal.
McDaniel
Gets
for
the
us,
most
though, media-wise,
out of his team.
I would love McDaniel for media, but
McDaniel would be great, and the Dolphins, I think they value him. I think the Dolphins know the error in their ways was just not having a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
It was amazing the other day. Tua ran for about 5 yards, slid, whole crowd stands up,
yeah, chanting his
standing
name.
ovation. I was
Yeah.
like, I think it was like a 5-yard run.
I
It
love
really
it,
wasn't that big
man.
of a deal. It's like he's just realized that he does not have to be paralyzed every time he gets hit. It was good. And then the Dolphins offense looked good, and they lost to the Cardinals still.
Well, hold up. I mean, you've watched football long enough. Even on those slides, though, it doesn't guarantee you're not going to get hit.
True.
There are late hits. There's hits that guys deliver that they'll take that 15 yards. Like, there's no guarantee. And when you've had, his injury history, there still has got to be a concern there anytime he leaves the pocket, even if he is going to slide for sure. But yeah, I just don't think, to your point, Ken, I just don't think he would be willing to give up picks for a coach like McDaniel that hasn't won a Super Bowl, whereas McVay has. And so if that's one spot where
I think the Rams value McVay more than as much as the 49ers value Shanahan. I really think
no question. I just think that they're in different spots where it's like it's not difficult to see a year down the line or so with the Rams.
Yeah.
I mean, how much longer is Matthew Stafford even going to play? When he was doing TV before the Cowboys-Lions game, there was a part of me during the Rams bye week where I was like, yeah, that's a good sign that this is probably it for Stafford. And then they're talking about shopping Cooper Kupp and things like that. Like, I don't see their window just being cracked back open. Whereas with the Niners, I still think, I mean, depending on what they do with Purdy, like that should be one of the top teams in the NFC for a while. I don't see that with the Rams at all.
I think that's a great point on the fact that there's just not a lot of these guys out there.
Yeah.
You want a guy who has head coaching experience, offensive innovator, CEO type, press conferences, all that type of stuff, leadership, Super Bowl experience, Super Bowl winning coach. That leaves like 2 people. So you might have to make some compromises. And if the Cowboys really want to move forward and kind of grow, they might have to take some risks here.
They just can't. They can't trade for.
Did he just describe John Gruden? Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes.
Oh, there's one
that.
we have now. That's it. Oh, John,
Shred 'em,
don't
Baker.
you put that out? Don't you put that
Don't be
out
putting
in the
this
universe?
in the headline of the pod, and I don't want to see any Chucky dolls as the image for this podcast either.
It's
okay?
Halloween.
If
We're not
there's
doing
one
this right
person
There's going
that
to be
can
an
get up on
aggregator out there.
stage and do a press conference and clear the air on John Gruden, it is Jerry Jones.
That's true.
You think Jerry Jones is going to be fine with what John Gruden's emails that were sent out? You think Jerry's fine with that?
I mean, Jerry's fine with a lot.
I can't say. I mean,
Dude,
they had a guy who was wanted for murder basically on their team a couple of years ago.
Again,
So
yeah,
I
now
don't
he's doing
know.
articles talking about how big of a distraction that workplace is.
Again, I
Yeah.
was being sarcastic, guys, but okay, continue.
Damn it.
And also a conversation that was had yesterday in the media room while we were waiting for a press conference was, and this might be one of like the top 5 most just like jarring Jerry moments for me that I was personally there for. Was when Sam Williams had the car thing, and then he goes, "Well, he went down like 10 miles an hour. He's improving." So
God.
like that was,
Is-
I just remember standing there being like, "There's no way he just said that."
No, but
It's
there
so
were
much of
moments, whether you talk about that or Jimmy going to the Ring of
Grandpa.
Honor, when that stuff was happening last season, where you really did get to feel like the Cowboys
we're
in the
back.
90s might be back. Like this
Dude,
might.
I was thinking that.
This train might be back on the track here. Right?
We need
Starting
one
head in
guy
this
to do a little
direction.
bit of cocaine.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cowboys, it's been big this week. Fire McCarthy now. Get rid of him. Go. You got to have somebody else. And right now,
Kellen Moore's
it's not like it's not like Sean
I mean,
Payton.
I
sitting
I
out
think we
there
just
like he
talked
was last
about.
year.
I think we just talked about what was missing.
Belichick.
I mean, we're talking about the '90s Cowboys, how wild they were, how the way that things were going good last year, with wild comments like that. You think of how wild things have been in the offseason for the Chiefs. Business seems to be booming there. When was Zeke at his best? When he was getting in trouble?
Come
I mean,
on, man.
we're clearly missing this stuff. Maybe yesterday was the spark. And that was that 3-game suspension for Sam Williams.
That's
maybe
what,
maybe that gets the thing back on the tracks.
that's the Norm Macdonald joke of the Cowboys. Jerry Jones said recently that the Cowboys are going to finally get back to their greatness of the 90s. Their greatness in the 90s was hookers and cocaine.
Yes.
So
And he was right.
once they get
okay.
back to that,
I have questions about the Sam Williams thing in a minute. I want to go through something real quick, though.
Okay.
I don't want Sean Payton at all. He can keep him
Yeah, me
away
neither.
from my salary camp. But for the sake of the conversation, the 2 Seans we were discussing both signed 5-year deals. And I believe they're and Sean McVay, his deal was married up with Les Snead. So,
yeah.
it would be draft pick compensation. And given what we know about this team, they're going to need to hit on draft picks moving forward. So I don't think trading for a guy is much in the cards. But for the record,
Unless you think he's that much of an improvement. That's why I wasn't interested on the McDaniel thing, but I can listen on Sean McVay.
I can too. I'm in. I'd be all in on that. The offense would look amazing compared to what we're watching right now. It's going to look amazing next year anyways, probably compared to what we're looking at right now. But for the sake of it, here are your Super Bowl winning coaches. Let's just go backwards. Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Andy Reid. I will mention Zach Taylor's probably has a chance he gets canned in Cincinnati. He went to the Super Bowl. Going to the Super Bowl is good enough for you. Let's see. We got Andy Reid, Bill Belichick. Who's the Eagles coach? Doug Peterson. Yeah. He might be available. Oh, gross. No. Dude. There's no way, right? Someone needs to tell me no right now.
Ron Rivera?
There's no way. He's losing his job. A Super Bowl winning head coach in the division 6 years ago.
Doug Peterson? I don't think Gary would do that. I think he would use Jacksonville as an excuse to not do that.
I don't see that either. I
don't see it, but I wouldn't say put it at 0%.
Yeah, I wouldn't say 0%.
That's the first name I haven't thought of.
He's a real CEO type guy. If you had a good offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, I might be in on that. But if
I can't stand that man.
If he's got, I don't know, a lot of say in the play calling, I'm not sure.
Belichick. Who's the Broncos coach in 2016 over the Panthers? 24-10.
John Fox?
No. Gary Kubiak?
Gary Kubiak. That's right.
Gary Kubiak on the Wade Phillips defense, right?
Yeah.
Hey, he said, shouldn't let Wade go. Belichick, Seattle, Pete Carroll, had to come out of retirement.
If Pete Carroll's coming out of retirement, why don't they call Mike Shanahan?
John Harbaugh. And then you go to the Giants. I mean, Tom Coughlin. What are we doing here?
No,
McCarthy.
This is decades old. No, there's
Peyton.
No point.
What about that 2010
McCarthy
guy?
already.
KT.
We're good.
Yeah.
Tomlin. Coughlin. Who was the Colts coach in 2007?
Dungy.
Peyton Manning. Dungy. Oh my God, they're all old.
You mentioned Wade.
You're 2 away from Bill Cowher, right?
Is Sean Lee in the coaching world right now?
No, he's not doing anything with football
Jerry
as far as I know.
Give up.
He is hanging out in Santa Barbara, having a good time.
Yeah.
The offense will have to be brand new.
Yep.
And that's what's like difficult about this. Like it is going to have to be way different. And
that's
modern. Slowick makes sense. Slowick might be able to talk his way into it. Yeah.
And plus, I mean, Jerry's a businessman with all the money he's invested in Dak and CD. I just feel like that has to be whoever he talks to. That's the line one is just like, how are you going to make this offense great again?
Moga.
Hey, Bosa.
Moga.
Hey, Bosa.
Make the
Is Bosa an offensive coordinator candidate?
Oh man, bring him in.
Moga. Okay, so what happened to Sam Williams? What are we doing? What?
I think this is like a thing from like last year. I mean, it might go all the way back to maybe the car accident thing. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's from anything recent, but
suspend guys when they're out for the year. That's
so
weird,
I guess
right?
they can't go to the facility, man. They can't hang out. Not that I've seen him at the facility, but
oh, bummer.
Yeah, that's a good time. That's a good time to serve your suspension.
I thought that was weird for that to come down. Would you guys like to hear a couple clips? I have 2 short clips of Trayvon Diggs and on the Micah Parsons podcast.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to play that for you after I share the screen there. All right. This is the first one. Just kind of Micah setting him up because Micah is basically a talk show host now. And Micah is just kind of saying, hey, man, what are your thoughts? What happened there when you confronted Mike Leslie of Channel 8?
Why did you react, the way you did? What's your thoughts about that? Media trying to portray an image that isn't there. Before you go, I do think he was wrong because obviously you're in man coverage and times you got to see it, kid was going upfield. So the narratives that he's trying to drive from the video was wrong, but kind of give your thoughts what led to that reaction and that outcome.
Yeah, I just felt like, it was unnecessary. I just felt like, he was trying to use my name, for clicks. And, after the game, I just happened to see it, and I clicked on it, I seen who it was. I was like, oh, he right here. Like, I just saw you. So I went up to him, and I just spoke how I felt. I felt like it was a lot of emotions. I just kind of let my, emotions get the best of me. But, at the end of the day, it still doesn't make it right for anybody just to be saying anything or just trying to throw dirt on your name or make you, seem like you're doing bad or a bad job, because, I felt like I played my hardest game yesterday. I felt like I did everything I could. I felt like, I was tackling, setting the edges, just doing everything to help my team win. And for him to just try to throw that on my name, it just didn't sit right with me because you like completely wrong.
I feel the same way about this as I did after the game. And when I said to Saad about when we were talking about, I don't think it's just on that one thing. I think this is a buildup of several things. And he's obviously been a target on social media for his tackling choices in previous games. And hearing him say that, I feel that way even more. And then also when you take in the optics of, he didn't go up to him after locker room was closed. The locker room was about to open. So reporters were about to go in there. And so he could have done that in front of the entire team, like sitting in his locker, but he wanted to go outside the locker room to confront him. And so I think that was kind of it's not like he just pulled him aside. I think it was kind of a message to kind of like everyone, like, like you're not going to be tarnishing my name, even though when you look at the tweet, it's just asking a question. It's not like it was taking a shot at him per se, even though over the last few games, he was taking a lot from a lot of people. And to be honest, deservedly so. There's some bad tape out there. So
you don't know football. That's a shot. I mean,
yeah.
And Mike Leslie gave him ample opportunity to stand there and discuss it, and he walked away and was throwing.
Well, no one's really looking to discuss it there.
I mean,
he's not.
But he looked bad on the video.
Everybody just move to the side. We're gonna get out the we're gonna get out the dry erase board, and we're gonna break this down. Like, he's not really trying to break it down.
No, but also I will say, like, that like this is actually true. Trayvon, and we said this in the post game pod. Like, Trayvon actually had a good game from the physicality standpoint and everything yesterday. So I think, he couldn't do this after that Detroit game when he looked like he was running away from David Montgomery at times. So like he had no ground to stand on after that game with everything because the social media fire was it was 60 times more after the Detroit game, but Trayvon knew he couldn't say anything about that. This game, I think he knew that he was going and filling in the run game, being physical. So then to see that, I think it kind of like pissed him off for that reason.
Yeah. I honestly think he, in a way, told on himself at the end of that clip there, because he said, I honestly think that was, I think he said the hardest I've played or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's
running in that clip. That's why he got called out. He wasn't running after the ball
about
carrier.
Taking on blocks and the stuff that sucks, the stuff that about his job that I guarantee you he hates. He doesn't like that part of the job.
Yeah.
No corner does. As a Packers fan, Jair Alexander, he likes to jump on at the end of tackle sometimes and then get in the guy's face. He doesn't love tackling. And we've seen corners for years. Dion didn't love tackling,
Yeah, but you got to be at Dion's level for that to be acceptable.
Oh, if Trayvon's sitting here right now through 7 games with like 4 picks or something, no one really cares about that.
Exactly.
Stuff. Because let's not act like this stuff was just an issue this season. Like, it's been,
sure.
I mean, you go back to even the seasons that he's had a lot of interceptions. There, the conversation was always like, man, how does he have all these interceptions? And then Pro Football Focus has him ranked as like one of the worst corners, I mean, so this is nothing new, but I just maintain, and I don't know this to be true, but it's just my feelings and judging on the optics of it. I've been reading all this stuff about my play, particularly in the run game over these last few weeks. He was really motivated in this game, knowing how San Francisco is physical and how he was going to have to be physical to meet their standard. And he felt like that he met that standard in this game. And so I believe he went back in the locker room and was like, I wish I would say something about me right now.
Yeah.
And found it and was like, okay, that's it. I actually did play hard in this game and I did try and tackle. You're not going to call me out on this one. And so I think that's kind of why it just is. The timing of it is just so strange to me. I've never seen the timing of that happen ever. And the reason I say that is because you're about to go into the locker room. Like we've all seen it, like baseball, football, whatever sport, player at their locker screaming at media member. The fact that he like left the locker room when the media was about to go in, I've never seen that before.
Very weird. Here's the second clip I want to play for you guys.
Media players taking words and kind of spicing them up a little bit. It just seems like it's more almost negativity. And I'm not talking just this particular situation. I'm talking from other media outlets for organization. It almost seems like your media is painting a worse picture than anybody else out there. They basically got the up close look, and they kind of, I kind of seen last night that, some of our media staff was saying this is the worst team chemistry and team morale that they seen since Coke. But how would they know that if they only in a locker room for, an hour throughout the week? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, it's just weird to me that your team's media is like trying to portray an image about you or trying to like throw dirt on your name or throw dirt on your team's name. Like we supposed to be one. We supposed to be together. I know that's journalism and, they got to report what they report, but at the end of the day, you should be trying to protect us, if anything, not trying to be buddy with you, smile in your face, trying to talk to you and talking about you online. Like, just don't talk to me. Like, we don't got to talk at all. Like, I don't need to do interviews with you. You want to ask me something, we can talk on the podcast and we could figure it out on our own. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, it's just weird to me.
Should we bring one of our media to the podcast?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I go for Saad Youssef.
I would say that I think it would be worse for them if they don't talk. I think it's good to have that rapport where you can explain, hey, this is what happened on that play. It helps out. I mean, it was great that, to ask Dak after the game, on that first interception and have him explain to me that, hey, I got hit when I was throwing it. So if I'm throwing it clean without the hit, you don't see the safety in that picture of where that ball is supposed to go. But when he gets hit and the way he lets it go, it's got time for that because it's not the pass that he was trying to originally throw. And so it gives time for the safety to come over to make what looked to him at first is that Cavante single covered, but the safety comes over because Dak got hit. And when you're watching in real time, even when you watch the replays in the game, I mean, heck, Mike McCarthy is on the field calling the plays, and even he says on a lot of stuff, yeah, I don't really want to comment on right now. I want to see the film and stuff. So even those guys, the pros of pros, it's hard to judge in that moment. So it's great to have that back and forth like that. But I do think, like I've said this many a times, like I do think that the players are going to lean more into just doing their own podcasts and trying to get out of talking to reporters because of stuff like this. And they have the right to do that. They will get fined by the league because the league does want players to talk, obviously, because it helps the brand of the league. But hey, when you're some of the highest paid players, you'll pay those fines and you won't care and you won't talk to reporters, and that's fine. And that's fine. But also there is a difference between like team media and then other reporters. Like it isn't is my job probably more fun and easier to do when the team's winning? Of course, but it's not my job to just put out things that are just positive for the team to like try and build momentum for the team or try and whatever. And to be honest with you, when he mentioned the thing about people being close to it and then they're the ones ripping or whatever, like, yeah, because it's bad. Like we've seen it when it looks really good, and there's something completely wrong here. There's too many of the key pieces from these teams that have been winning 12 games to all of a sudden be this bad. Again, like I said, after earlier in the season, when we talk about 3-3, there's levels to this. If those 3 losses come in somewhat close games and hey, they just aren't making the play late, lost another close one, that's way different than those 3 losses being over at halftime. And frankly, for myself, and I know Saad will agree with this and other reporters that cover the team, like I couldn't sleep at night just being phony and not trying to be myself and tell you what I see and the way I feel having covered this team for as long as I have. I wouldn't be able to live with myself just throwing out phony stuff all the time to be like, yeah, it's really not this good. But I'm just going to say on the podcast that it's like, guys, it's not as bad as it seems. They're a play away from, they're a play away from getting this thing back on the track and they're going to win 12 games again this year. Like, no, it's not. There's a lot of things. I do think it's a lot of little things that are compounded into big things. But I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, no, they're just right on the cusp. They're going to turn this around. Just trust me. I couldn't live with myself.
Yeah. Look, we could have a whole podcast on this, to be honest. Like I could go for another hour on this, but just to keep it short, I will say like, it's one of those things where when things are bad, everyone thinks the media is against them. And then when things are good, you don't hear those same things, and it's like, and it just takes like 1 second of common sense to look in the mirror and be like, oh, what's the difference here? Oh, it's the results. So if the results are good, all of a sudden, same media member good. But if the results are bad, now media member bad. Like it's not like that. And obviously, and that is not to say media members don't step out of bounds and there's not
God.
things of that sort. Trust
Sure.
me, I sympathize with that 100%, and I understand that point from not just Trayvon or Micah, but I will say, look, we've all been critical of Dak, especially this season, everything like that. Last week when he gave his answer about the facility tours, he even mentioned like players don't want you in the locker room, and then he was like, I don't get that, but there are players like that. And Dak, look, John and I both, we haven't been soft in our criticism of Dak or anything like that. But Dak is a player who takes time out of his week every so often. Not and I'm not saying like occasionally, but like literally every so often. And he'll talk to us about like, what, like some things he's seeing off the record and things like that. It helps us portray a way more accurate picture of him, even if it's bad, even if it's not good. It's not flagrant because we are getting better communication from him on that, and it's not just podium stuff. So, and even on the podium, Dak is really good. We were talking about this on the drive back from San Francisco. We're like, he'll go out of his way to still give you a good answer when he doesn't even have the answer. So I do think there's value in all that. And so, it boils down to the fact that, look, CD was asked about media tours or like the fan tours or something. I don't know if it was that question or maybe something else at the end of his press conference, but he was like, y'all just always trying to like set us up or something like that. And it was like a very basic question. Like it was not a setup at all. We've all heard the setup questions. It was not that. But when it's a controversial topic and you don't want to answer it and you feel like you get in trouble, that's when you feel like it's a setup. So it's not so much media is the bad guy. Again, not that media is never the bad guy, but in that situation.
And let me just clear up something that Saad just said right there. We were driving back to the hotel. We did not drive to San Francisco. I want you guys to know that, okay?
Yeah.
No, but everything. I agree. Everything you said there. And I also, if I'm just being completely honest, and I don't know, it doesn't really bother me. But like, I get it. The players don't know the difference between us, the local, the Stephen A. Smith. Like, I get it. And it's something that I used to like kind of get annoyed by, but I don't care anymore. Like I know like it's not, they don't have to find out who we work for and if we work for the team or if we don't, or if we're national or if we're whatever. And I bet you there's a lot of times where they probably see something, read something, hear something, where they mix up even the person that said it or heard it and blame somebody that they probably weren't even the ones that did it. I get it. I'm not even expecting them to know so that doesn't even bother me when they say that, like, team media and all that stuff like that. I get it. Like, it's fine. They don't have to know the difference between whatever, but like, that still doesn't mean I'm not going to do my job. And you got to do it. You got to be fair too. Like I don't like taking shots at guys, like, personally, and I don't like when other people do either. But like, if you're playing poorly on the field, it is our job to point that out. Sorry, but it is.
Yeah, well, as it's gone on for many years, everything always comes back to Jerry. Jerry also doesn't know who some of the media is. Like, I think, might have thought that Sean and RJ were part of the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, maybe he does. Yeah, maybe he did know, but like, that was like, yeah. So interesting. I haven't heard all of Micah's podcast. I just heard a couple of clips that were posted.
Well, there was one part also where they were talking about Anthony Richardson, because I did listen to the whole podcast, and they were talking about Anthony Richardson and Micah. I mean, I'm not saying players don't think this, and it is Micah, because I think Anthony Richardson said something like he was tired, that's why he came out of the game, and so Micah and Trayvon were both like, dude, you got to lie to the media. Like, you cannot stand there as the quarterback of the team and be like, oh yeah, I came out because I was tired. And so there was that. And while we're having the media conversation, they did talk about, like, you don't need to be telling the truth to the media either when you're at the podium.
Yeah, and the longer you do this, the more you can tell, like, when they're, that there's some. I mean, heck, and that's the reason why to your point, KT, earlier, that's why you have every right to be skeptical about the Rico Dowdle situation. Because whether you think he was sick or he was sick or he wasn't, like, teams do stuff like that because I don't say do that like right on game day or whatever, but I'm saying
Yeah.
like there's things that get out there that are just like, guys go on the injury report and stuff like that. Like, let's not act like every single team does this the same and stuff. And there is part of that goes in there too, where like, well, the reporters don't need to know all of this. I mean, heck, Mike McCarthy's
Sure.
been saying recently he thinks that the players are too
Well,
candid with us. So,
and there's a level of not trust. Trust isn't the word here. It's not respect. There's a level of I'm trying to find the right word. There's a level of it's not confidence either. There's
Arrogance.
a level of something that you have in your organization and the way that they do business, and and I just think this is also a very obsessed fan base and has been forever. Like when stuff like that happens and comes up, it can honestly end up feeling like here we go again, another carnival bit. Here
And
it
really-
is again, something else.
and the Cowboys are in a bad spot because their issues aren't easily defined and the players are having a tough time explaining what they think is wrong. And so there's just a lot of gray area where everyone's trying to speculate on what's the biggest issue. I mean, for me, the one I keep going back to is just what happened in that, whether it's 24 hours, 2 hours, 3 days before the Green Bay game for them to play that poorly at home with how, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that we spent all off season on that, and you get to training camp and there still aren't like guys that know why that happened. And to me, I always go back to that because that's judging by where things are going right now. That was the beginning of getting to where they are right now. And as a reporter, you're like, you feel responsibility. This is my job to explain to people why this happened. And it's tough because the people you talk to that get to see it even more than you that are inside, they don't know how it happened. But it's still your job to try and explain these things. And even the people that are involved really don't have the answers, much less people that are covering it. Like, we're close to the team. We're not paid by the team. We're not there every day. I don't eat lunch with the team or anything like that. But we obviously interact with people that are in the building all the time, and you have conversations and you get information and you try and relay that to your readers and listeners as best as you can. But this team particularly, I just have gotten a big sense this year, whether you talk about with coaches, players, front office, they don't have a great grasp on why it got as bad as it did. And it's easy for us to point to, well, yeah, you don't have the players right now. The injuries, you didn't make big moves in the offseason. You aren't going to make any big trades or anything like that. So that's easiest one to point to, obviously, but there's more to it than just that. Again, there's levels to this. That stuff should have contributed to them maybe having this record.
Sure.
I don't think it should have contributed to having some of the lopsided games that they've had.
Yeah, and that's why whenever we asked throughout the first 6-7 weeks to Dak specifically about his connection with CD, there were a couple of times where he was like, "Look, if I could tell you the answer right now, it'd probably be fixed." And I believe him when he says that. Like, that's the honest answer. Now, it is our job to ask the question. So both parties there are doing the right thing. Like, we have to ask, why are you and CD not in sync? And he also has to. He's also right that if they had the answer, it would be fixed on the field. The other thing about the whole like lying to the media thing, that's not like offensive to. It shouldn't be offensive to media members at all, because yeah, we want them to be honest, but also there are things where, like John said, if you're that's the value of like us being around, especially like the veteran reporters being around as long as they have. Like, you're able to read through other things, and honestly, off the record conversations help way more than podium stuff. And because if you're just being honest, that's where you get Aaron Rodgers calling out Mike Williams about doing that, and like that's not
Sad, real quick. You know what was a good one yesterday? Is Zimmer when Clarence asked about the safeties. Do you know how bad the safeties must be playing for him not even to want to comment, to say that I'm not going to evaluate those in the media like that? Because even if a guy's okay, coaches are going to talk that guy and be like, no, it's not as bad. You guys, blah, blah. For him to not even to want to comment, that's the one little thing where like Rod Marinelli was notorious for that. Like, so there's certain things that when a player or coach says something, the more you're around it, like the more you understand, even without them saying it definitively. Like, there's little things where you can be like, yeah, this is an issue. I mean, a lot of that kind of goes back to even with like the Trayvon Diggs thing. Like, it's just not people on the outside that think that, he wasn't making great effort on tackles and stuff. Like, there's people in the building that think that as well.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like it's just this fan thing on the outside. Like, like we're just kind of making up stuff or whatever. Yeah. So
do they miss J-Ron Curse or what?
I don't think so.
I mean, what's happening here? And safeties are a whole other thing. Yeah, we didn't even have time to get to it.
I think the position was probably overrated a little bit in the offseason because really we can go back. I mean, I can't think of a time really that I've covered the team that safety and defensive tackle have been any better than just like, they're solid. They're solid. There's not been a time when you really look at either of those two positions and go, one, that they put a big investment in outside of obviously Mazia first round picks, a big investment. Haven't gotten that return on that investment, obviously, but that is one. But outside of that, I mean, there just haven't been the investments in those positions on that level where all of a sudden you're just like, they're not using first round picks on safeties,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and KT, I know we've gotten way over. I just want to throw this out there, and we can maybe even talk about this later because there might be a different thing. Luke Schoonmaker had 2 snaps yesterday on offense. 2. Drew a pass interference on 1. He had 2. And I'm just saying, and the reason why I thought about that was because you're talking about the safeties and the investment in the position and all that. You talk about the tight end position. Your second round pick from a year ago, and he had all the injuries and stuff. 2 snaps on offense. So when we're talking about the offense struggling, I'm not saying Schoonmaker's the magic elixir, and I'm not putting that on the coaching staff either, to be clear. I think that's a Schoonmaker problem that he's not able to do what needs to be done to get on the field, to have the confidence of the coaching staff to get on the field or whatever it is. But I don't know, man. You're without your number 2 wide receiver. You're whatever. Like you're a second round pick from a year ago, and you have 2 snaps on offense. It's not great.
This is a laundry list. We could go all night. Let's shut it down. We will get back together tomorrow, though. Do a little Falcons preview episode, make our picks, all that good stuff. Probably, tomorrow night might be in your feed Thursday morning for Halloween. Maybe that'll be the plan there.
Spooky.
So make sure you're checking out the work of Sod and John. Follow us in our Discord server as well, the One Star Cowboys podcast Discord server. Give us a review as well. Hit that 5-star thing on the One Star Cowboys podcast. Doesn't make sense, but do it because I think it's helpful. And if you listen on Spotify, I think that's pretty great for us too. But Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, you know the drill if you're listening. For John, for Sod, for Kent, I am Kevin Turner, and we will see you next time on the One Star Cowboys podcast.
So talk about these nuts, they got crushed by the red and gold, left us in a hush. Then Cowboys put up a fight, but in the end, it's 49ers when we tried to comprehend.
For over a century, Johnny Walker has shared its bold spirit with the game of golf. Now, crafted with Devereaux Golf, Johnny Walker introduces the Johnny Walker Blue Label-inspired Sunday Golf Bag, elevating the game with sleek design, Blue Label hues, and refined gold accents. Celebrate your hole-in-one with a premium Sunday bag crafted by Devereaux Golf. Submit proof of your achievement to johnnywalker.com/blue-in-1. Please drink responsibly.